Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, even potentially wherever you might be in this world. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the quarterfinals weekend of 4-Digit World Cup 2025. We've already had to say goodbye to 8 teams last weekend. This weekend, we will be saying goodbye to yet another 12 teams. And as we start off this quarterfinals weekend on a lovely Thursday 18 UTC match in this losers bracket between Finland and Turkey. You know, one of these teams, they'll be moving on to the next round of losers bracket. Another one of these teams will sadly be going home this time. It is a best of 11 this weekend and going on into the semifinals weekend, so first to 6 points will be the winner of these matchups here. Each of these teams will also be getting 2 bans per round. My name is Suicune3. I will currently the only one in the commentary box. We might be getting another commentator in later on in this match. Unsure for the time being. But we do have the 15th seeded team Finland going against the 21st seeded Turkey. Finland coming down into the losers bracket after after losing to Germany 5-1, albeit with some relatively close map points that I think Finland can be proud of. And I think we should give them a very good, game plan coming into this quarterfinals pool. Meanwhile, Team Turkey, having won their first losers bracket matchup against Argentina last week in a comeback victory. They were down 4-1 in that matchup, but eventually taking it all the way back to tiebreaker and winning it off of tiebreaker last week to make it to this round. So well fought by Turkey, but this is a very tough opponent in this, Finnish squad here. 2 bans per team. The first ban from Team Turkey coming out, it is going to be the Nomad 6 ban. I think unsurprising when you're facing off against a team like Finland, who have some very good reading players. You look at this Finnish roster and, at least the first person that comes to mind when you see this, Kalanlu. That guy is pretty good at reading, Probably want to get him off of these types of reading maps. We're going to see a double Hard Rock ban coming out from Team Finland here. Hard Rock 1 and 2 gone from this pool. Do not want to give Turkey any opportunity there. Assuming, assuming the reading bans are going to come through again from Team Turkey, I would expect something like a Hidden 2, maybe, a free mod ban potentially inside of Team Turkey, but they're going to end up banning the Hidden 3. I think confident in the stacked reading that, Hidden 2 has to offer, so I'm interested to see how this plays out. But Turkey banning out Hidden 3, they don't want to deal with, the flow control hidden map. Lots of varying BPMs, all throughout. But it is going to be Turkey's pick. Interesting to note, from at least Finland's match last week, that I think Turkey might, have a chance. That Turkey might have a chance to abuse is, the Finland aim. It was noted by Amasetic last week in the Finland-Germany matchup that, Finland not particularly good at, no mod 1 style maps. So, Turkey might opt to pick in that direction. Good morning, Dio. Welcome to the desk.
Hello there. It's time for Finland versus Turkey. I was not expecting to be on this basically at all, so we'll see how this one goes. A little bit less familiar with this pool than some of the others, but does look like they have banned out some of the more annoying maps in the pool. The Precision Hard Rock, Mikazuki in the Nomad pool. And then Finland just banning out aim, it looks like. Turkey banning out more of the kind of gimmicky stuff, the hidden 3, the Nomad 6 in this pool.
Yeah. Hard Rock 1, I think, a reasonable enough ban. Yes, it is aim, but, there are so many, I think I mathed it out to, 290, roughly, DPM quads in that Hard Rock 1. Really annoying to play on Hard Rock. But Turkey, they're gonna opt for a Fremont 2 first pick, interestingly enough, I feel like. Ping Pong Dash, mapped by Miller. This is an interesting, kind of, I want to say it was, a snappy, it was a snap control kind of, anti-mod pick. So I'm interested to see these lineups here. For those of you who are it's your first time watching this tournament, or you just need a refresher on your free mod rules, do remember, each team is required to have at least 3 players take a mod. One player needs to be on the Hard Rock or the Hidden Hard Rock, another player needs to be on the Hidden or the Hidden Easy, and then the third player can take whatever they want out of the available options of Hidden, Hard Rock, or Easy. No flashlight allowed, unfortunately. I'm sure there would have been absolute cinema if we had flashlight allowed, but sadly not going to be the case here.
Yep. I don't know exactly how many flashlights we'd have. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Probably not too many. But should be just fine with what we have here for Finland. Anyway, I think Finland is largely going to be picking into this free mod 2, partly because of the Nomad 6 ban, partly because of the Hidden 3 ban, but in large part, I think they just have Kalanlu, so you just put him on easy and probably guarantee an FC. It might be better in some cases, like with Yokespy on Norway, for Kalanlu on Finland to take hidden instead of easy, and just not deal with the lower maximum score in that case. But it's probably still going to go well for them regardless here. Finland, the higher seeded team in this matchup. Turkey, the lower seeded team. Expected to do well on their own picks is Finland. And we do actually just see Kalanlu taking the hidden there. Not too surprising given the map and the multiplier for this free mod 2. As we get into things, Nemq on the Hard Rock, double hidden for Kalanlu and Evert on Finland. No mods for Savilju. Evert actually finding the first miss there. Orke also dropping a miss on the Hard Rock. Double Hard Rock for Turkey with Orke and Yevi. Spray on the hidden, Shinkiro on the no mod for that team.
Yeah, mod advantage, in theory, going to be favoring Turkey, but Spray finding the miss on the hidden and Orkai, dropping the Hard Rock again, means it's an early start, an early lead for Finland, despite, the early break from Evert. It's still 3 FCs for them. Kalanlu is still on that hidden double S, Who else would you want on a hidden double S on an anti-mod pick other than Kalanlu in this matchup, I'd say the odds are pretty good there. It's a very short map as well, Dio. 1 minute and 48 seconds, and you can see with these early breaks, Finland already, up to 130,000 score lead as Kalanlu, Savilju, Evert, Yevi, and Spray all go down in the midway through this map.
Yeah, suddenly, okay, no longer looking better for Turkey. It was looking good there for a second. Shinkiro was holding the Nomad FC, and Orke had a bit of free extra combo there for Turkey, but with Shinkiro finding the drop, and now Nemq actually also finding the drop. Wait a second, it's still combo on Orke, and he goes down as well. And with a quarter of the map left to go, 130k score lead, not any really big combos anywhere. Turkey, and now their biggest combo also gone on Yevi. Kalanlu and Evert on the hidden. Now just Kalanlu holding a little bit of combo for Finland. The score lead's gonna probably stay put, right? It could go over to Turkey, but not enough at the ending here. And in fact, it's just gonna keep getting better for Finland as we get the first point on the board. First pick for Finland successful.
Yeah. Finland do actually take that break point from Team Turkey. It wasn't necessarily even, bad performances by Team Turkey. You see, everybody in the lobby actually over 500k. So, these aren't bad performances. It's just, just slightly better performances on the side of Team Finland. I like the idea from Turkey there. And, clearly, they have the potential in this
I mean, like,
matchup for some of this, but like,
let's face it, you're just not beating Finland if you go double hidden on that. So I like the double hard rock also. Yeah.
yeah. But regardless, yeah, Finland have their pick, and you know, they had some very good speed. They had some very good speed scores, you know, on last week's pool. Turkey, not nearly so much. I'd wager to say we're probably going to see, you know, some potential speed maps.
Yeah, I think after we get through this first pick for... Wait, that was actually Turkey's first pick. I'm sorry.
It was.
What?
It was.
Wait, I'm so confused. All right. Yeah, Finland in a very good spot. I thought that was Finland's first pick. I'm going to be honest. That pick just made so much sense for Finland that I just assumed it was their first pick. Yeah, I'm real confused about that one. Okay, so Turkey with the drop on their own first pick. That is very different now. And yeah, like you said, Finland is a good speed team. So I think it's a pretty solid angle for some speed here for Finland. The other thing that I could see them doing is just going into the hidden 2 here. But no, it's just going to be the DT2 as expected, going into some speed versus Turkey here.
Orkai really having to play his own map in tournament. Amazing break. This is pretty much just a pure stamina test at 230 BPM for the most part, and you know, Finland should be pretty comfortable on this. Yeah, Orkai might be playing, but you know, I don't know if, you know, mapper advantage necessarily holds true here, do you?
Yeah, that's the only problem, right? Is like, yes, you maybe mapped it, but if the map is simple enough, does that really matter at all, right? This one is just AR10, 230 BPM speed. There's not anything crazy going on here. There is some finger control, but with a little bit of practice throughout the week, I think most of the speed players on Finland are going to be just fine with this as we get into their own first pick now. Up a break point, 1-0 to start the match off, and with, I think, a lot of good speed maps left as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing how Finland can do on this. A couple of swaps in and out here for the Finnish roster. Dragon Saga maybe swapping out for somebody else. It's gonna be mind-blowing, apparently, as the last member for Finland here. Turkey with Lieri, Ievi, Orke, and Maid Keddy for this one. We'll try and take back the breakpoint they just lost, and never mind, it is Dragon Saga replacing Orke, so no same mapper player advantage for Turkey on this one either.
Yeah, unfortunate, but the good luck have funds are coming out, and I think very solid roster swaps for both of these teams, I feel like. I'm trying to remember if Turkey played... I don't think Turkey actually played that many, you know, the DT maps last week against Argentina, so I'm hard-pressed to say this was, like, you know, their DT lineup from last time around, but here it is. It's going to be their DT lineup against a very strong, you know, Finnish team, you know, hoping to get, you know, an early 2-0 start in this best of 11.
Already a couple of early breaks coming out from Turkey. Make that 4 in total. 2 for Lieri, 1 for Maid Keddy and Dragon Saga. And still the 4, actually 5, sorry. Ievi broke right at the beginning of the map as well. So everyone on Turkey has broken. There's another break to come through for Ievi. And now Jiska, the only one to break so far on the side of Finland. It's it ain't looking good. Let's be honest. It ain't looking good on this map right now.
No, not looking good at all. Yusuke the only one to find a drop. Accuracy down for Mayuri as well. We might expect to see a break from them later on. Just, you know, with how low the AC is compared to everybody else. But House holding on to a solid FC. Mind-blowing with the 99.4 FC. Looking so incredibly comfortable on this. Lieri and Dragon Saga, as well as Maid Keddy, are building up some supporting combos, but like, or some recovery combos, but it's never going to matter when the 3 FCs from Finland are still holding halfway through.
Yeah, well, I mean, really, we're just gonna have to wait and see if it's a full team collapse from Finland or not, because that's the only way that Turkey has a shot at winning this map. Made Ketty and Yevi both breaking there. There goes Mayuri and Mind Blowing in the second PI time for Finland. So now it's just House, actually, just also finding the break. So one FC left, but all of Turkey has missed in the meantime. And so even with House finding that break, it's not going to matter. It's a nearly 500,000 score lead, 2/3 of the way or 3/4 of the way into the map. And no big combo on either team, namely no big combo on Turkey to take advantage of those drops from Finland. They do find the full team collapse, but so does Turkey, so it will not end up mattering, and Finland will take this point pretty convincingly. There's not a lot that Turkey could do in this map except have the whole team play better.
Yeah, and unfortunately that just wasn't the case here. Very convincing first pick here from Team Finland. They're going to go up an early 2-0, and you have to think this is just a very... Once you know, the Finnish team, you know, sees the results of this, you have to think it's just going to be an easy pick strategy for the next couple of maps.
Yeah, surely. Surely they just go into more speed. And now, if you're Turkey, I think you really want this Hard Rock 3 against Finland, and I think after that you really want aim against Finland. The two Hard Rocks that they chose to ban are both mostly aim focused or aim control focused in the case of Hard Rock 2, right? So I think you're going to want to lean into what they banned against you, right? Tech Hard Rock 3, it's not necessarily aim control, but Tech in general does have a lot of aim control in it, particularly in the streams and some of the slider aim. Nomad 1, Hidden 1, DT 1 are all aim maps. I don't think Fremod 1 is, but I think all of those are solid picks for them.
Fremod 1 is like your CS4 AR9 type of awkward aim, high BPM awkward aim, so a little bit less generic, conventional than, you know, say something like, you know, Nomad 1, but still aim nonetheless. And Dio, you mentioned the Hard Rock 3. You know, looking at, you know, the stats from, you know, last week with Nomad 4, you know, Turkey did technically perform better on, you know, True Novel last week compared to, you know, Finland. You know, Tech could be another option here for Turkey in this matchup. You know, you have that Hard Rock 3, like you mentioned. You also have, you know, Nomad 4 as well still open if you so choose to try to, you know, gamble on a pick that, statistically speaking, you know, did perform better on than your opponents the week prior.
Yeah, I think the Hard Rock 3 in general is probably best right now, but no, it's going to be Nomad 3 instead. And I can see going for this also if you are Turkey, just because with the double Hard Rock ban, you're banning out Hard Rock to Precision against Turkey. The anti-mod pick does not work, of course, because Finland can just run one Hard Rock on that. But it does potentially speak to a weakness on aim control. So maybe we'll see that come to fruition here for Turkey. I think I definitely would have preferred just aim or tech in this case, with the Hard Rock 3 in particular, not necessarily the Nomad 4. Even though they did edge out Finland a little bit on last week's Nomad 4, I don't think it's all that great of a pick unless you're also already winning the Hard Rock 3 in this match, right? So I think you probably would want to go there first, but Turkey say, no, we want Nomad 3 instead. So let's see how well they're able to perform on this one. If you lose this pick, you're down 2 breakpoints, probably 4-0 after the next pick for Finland. Given how that DT2 went, I can't imagine they go anywhere besides the Nomad 5 or the DT3 as their next pick. So Turkey really wanting to put themselves on the board here, not give over that second breakpoint, and potentially establish a good pick strategy, right? If you win this, you have a lot of other aim control maps left in the pool.
Yeah, for sure. It's looking like it's going to be kind of the same, you know, gimmick roster that we've seen for Team Turkey. Yevi, Shinkuro, Orkai, Made Keddy in for this one. Evert, Civilyu, Nemku, and Kalanlu. Another, you know, equally strong, you know, alt roster coming in for Team Finland. Yevi looking like it's going to be swapping out for Spray at the end here. As we get into Nomad 3, the custom map by Mega Fan, Massive X by Yasui Yosuke. And this is a very, interesting alt map, It's got a lot of, snap into like flow aim elements that, you have to remain on your toes for, There's going to be a lot of interesting, there's a few square patterns in here that tripped me up when I was looking through this in the editor. So hoping, that these players have at least have done their due diligence and, practiced this map at the very least, because this looked nigh unsight readable when I was looking through it.
Well, looks like everybody's got their at least practice at the beginning down. Nobody breaking on the first couple of reverse patterns here. Maidketty the first to break on the side of Finland. Evert, Civilju, Nemq, Kalanlu on the FCs for Finland. Spray, Shinkiro, and Orke on the FCs for Turkey. Of course, Maidketty also on the recovery combo. Nemq going to be recovering as well. Does find a drop here about a little before a quarter of the way into the map here. And now you have a lot of kind of wiggle stream patterns here, back and forth, overlapping on top of each other. Nobody breaking yet on any of these patterns. It's just a couple of early breaks that we had for Nemq and Maidketty. Finland still slightly in the lead, but Turkey going to start bringing it back with the extra combo on Maidketty eventually. It's just the accuracy slightly in favor of Finland. But there goes Evert now. Second break for Finland to come through. And both of these teams are doing pretty well on this map. We're almost halfway in. There's still 5 FCs on the board, but Turkey with 3 of them is starting to pull ahead here just a little bit.
Yeah, we're getting to that halfway point, though. Halfway point is, kind of the critical point, with these FCs. You don't want to be breaking in this particular section here. You don't want to, score cap yourself to, 500k. But so far, everybody's looking good except for Civilju, who does drop that FC for Finland at the halfway point. Maidketty drops for the side of Turkey, but if you're a Finnish fan, that's not the break he wants. There's still 3 FCs on Spray, Shinkiro, and Orkai. Kalanlu the only one to hold an FC against Team Turkey. There goes Shinkiro, but there's really not a lot of support.
Okay,
Spray goes down
Spray
as well. So it's a 1v1 in FCs. The supporting combo advantage better on the side of Finland. Evert back at 500. Civilju and Nemq both cresting 300 now. Score lead slowly diminishing for the side of Team Turkey, and there goes Orkai. It's only Kalanlu, and he can make up that deficit very quickly in this last PI.
Even without Kalanlu, they might still be okay. Evert, Civilju, and Nemq are all higher combo than anyone on Turkey, and there's the swap. Spray and Orke find another couple of misses, and it looked so good for Turkey until suddenly collapse struck them 2/3 or so into the map. In the wise words of Skara, they were winning until they weren't, and now Finland taking the win, taking a breakpoint on the Nomad 3 over Turkey. 2 breakpoints in a row, 1 successful pick for Finland already. Poised to go up 4-0 with this next pick. Almost certainly either the DT3 or the Nomad 5. And big shouts to Kalanlu on the side of Finland. 980k, absolutely carrying them on that pick. That victory in the comeback is impossible without that score. And it really just comes down to everyone on Turkey breaking at about 1,000 combo in. You just have the FC for Kalanlu, and you have these big recoveries that can match that about 1k combo break coming through for everyone on the side of Turkey. So it just ends up working out for Finland there. Very well done to them.
Very well done indeed. Look at the accuracies. Look at the accuracies across the board as well. Finland, everybody over 99%, looking so incredibly comfortable accuracy-wise. Yeah, a few unlucky breaks here and there, but looking solid on that. A little bit of lacking in the accuracy department there for Turkey. So, but Dio, you mentioned it. It was either going to be Nomad 5 or DT3, and instant Nomad 5 slam.
Yeah, least obvious speed pick. I don't know, man. Like, this is just super obvious. I'm again not super familiar with the pool this week. I jumped in this match last second, have not done my map pool prep, and was also kind of AFK during playtesting this week. Sorry, Shiv. So I don't know too much about this map, but it's a Nomad 5. It's mapped by Kiwis, who is very well known for metal stream maps in particular. I think most of the time you can be pretty comfortable knowing about what is going to happen. Should be probably around 234. It looks like a double BPM map. 234 BPM streams and bursts in this map at 6.9 stars.
Yep, just a double BPM speed map. I believe this version is. I think OD is increased from the regular diff, I believe. I think the regular diff on this has a lower OD, if I recall. But regardless,
yeah, 9.4 makes more sense for this diff. So
yeah. But yeah, Finland hoping to convert yet another breakpoint, into their favor, and going up 4-0 quickly in this matchup should be a really good, mental boost. It gives you a lot of momentum going into the final, potential final two maps after this, as long as they're able to, keep their game going. And Turkey, meanwhile, they're trying to put something on the board. They've had some good picks, all things considered. It's just, the execution not quite there. The ideas are there, they just play better? Question mark?
Yeah, it's just been like, 250k on the free mod 2, and unfortunately the Hard Rocks just not able to get above that 600k mark, whereas Finland had both a hidden and their one Hard Rock from MQ above that 600k mark, so it looked very good on that. And then the last one, again, like 300k or so in Finland's favor, and it's just Kalanlu being the difference. But even if he found the break at about the same point as Evert, probably still would have been enough. If he were if he were 700k instead of 980k, still would have been enough. So you just need more out of these other members, unfortunately, for Turkey. And now with this one, get a little panic here at the start as Mayuri and Yevi both not loading in, but Juska, House, Mindblowing, and Mayuri in for Finland to once again try to take a point on speed here. Dragon Saga, Lieri, Yevi, and Maid Ketty in for Turkey to try to start clawing this match back, put a point on the board, not give over 2 free breakpoints, and potentially at least respond with a breakpoint of their own. Juska now finding the early break for Finland. It was a break right at the start of the map for Maid Ketty, but Juska and Mindblowing both dropping down early here for Finland. That is not what you want to see if you are rooting for Finland. Mindblowing was the top scorer on the DT2 earlier, with the highest ACK in the lobby by a good 2%, a full 2% in fact. So very bad start here for Finland. Even with the 2 FCs still left up, it's 3 for Turkey with the reverse choke for Maid Ketty.
We do need to see how long, Turkey is able to hold on to this. We saw in that No Mod 3, kind of just utter collapse, as the map went on and on. But so far, things looking up as Juska and Mindblowing do drop against. There goes Mayuri on the FC as well, traded with Dragon Saga and Maid Ketty and Lieri as well. So it's a 1v1 on the FCs between Yevi and House right now.
And how long can Yevi hold on really is the question. House, same deal here. We are only halfway through. The recovery combos will start to matter, but for now, it's just these 2 FCs duking it out between these teams. And recovery's all pretty stable, but there goes Yevi, pretty much 2/3 of the way in. Going to be score capping a little bit. Lieri also finding the drop, both of them missing again, and this score lead going to swap to Finland at about 3/4 of the way into the map. Only so much time left for a comeback to happen for Turkey now. They need drops from Finland to win this and avoid a second consolidated breakpoint. But there goes Dragon Saga. It's all on Maid Ketty now. And with 3 supporting combos and the FC left up for Finland, I don't know that there's a world where Maid Ketty can pull this back. It would have to be a quad break, basically, for Finland right now. And we may be past that window of opportunity already. It's a 300,000 score lead for Finland going into the end of the map. And Maid Ketty I don't think that you got 300k left in the tank. That's just not going to happen.
No.
Really solid pick once again for Finland. It looked shaky at the start for this team, but they all pull up with massive recovery combos. House finally finding the break near the end of the map, but it is just not going to matter. A combined over 3,000 combo on the rest of the team going into the ending here, and a pretty solid team score overall, just over 2.3 million for Finland, and the win by the largest margin yet, 600,000 points in their favor.
I mean, Finland just looks so comfortable on, the speed maps. Sure, they found, some breaks early on, but like those recoveries from Yuska, Mindblowing, and Mayuri all at the end were just impeccable. Like, House drops the FC, but when one falls, the rest of the three rise up gloriously to the occasion. And like you said, Dio, largest score gap we've seen in this match so far. If you're Turkey, you're absolutely sweating now. You have to. You want to try to get something on the board. Stop, this Finnish train from, potentially clean sweeping you 6-0 in this quarterfinals matchup.
I just can't help but go back to the Hard Rock 3 or the Nomad 1 potentially for this Turkish roster, because let's face it, if you're double banning Hard Rock, you're probably not that comfortable on the last one. It can be a bait. We've seen that before in lots of tournament matches, right? That the last pick of a mod pool that is left up is something that's actually very good for the team, and it's a bait to leave it up. But a lot of times it's not a bait, it's just that's our least bad one. And they are going to indeed go with the Hard Rock 3 here. Feels left out by Zek. Mapped by Azrael. Let's see how this one goes now. Turkey, if Finland were baiting this Hard Rock 3 pick out, then they are falling into the trap. But again, most of the time, like 90% of the time, when a team is double banning a mod category, it's because they're just bad at it. So Turkey, I think you have to hope that Finland is banning this because they're just bad at Hard Rock, and this is their least bad Hard Rock, but still not a good one.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Interestingly enough, Turkey also did not, play, Hard Rock at any point last week. I don't recall what the bans were for, both for, either country last week, but you're really just hoping, like you mentioned, Dio, Finland just really not, comfortable on this. It's tech, it's Hard Rock, like, not a very, common skill set amongst players.
No, it's not super common. It's somewhat niche for Hard Rock tech in particular, right? You have a lot of people who are very good at tech, but most people prefer to play hidden on tech. If they're taking a mod at all, most people are just not taking a mod on tech maps. Hard Rock tech tends to be something that's pretty limited to either tournament players or people grinding for number ones on a leaderboard with hidden Hard Rock. So there's not a ton of people who really play it generally to get better at it. I can think of just a couple of people off the top of my head who are generally really solid on Hard Rock tech. But yeah, it's not super common, but in tournaments, if you play tournaments, you will inevitably run into it. So it is something to practice potentially. We do have the full rosters here for both of these teams, and apparently Finland having to use their timeout here because they do not have people within the timer, and you can see the pick coming through at 14:31. The roster being finalized at 14:34. It does make Finland use their timeout. Nemcu, Savilju, House, and Kalanlu in for this map. Spray, Orke, Yevi, and Shinkiro in for Turkey to try to put a point on the board against Finland, who are up 4-0 and would really love to take yet another breakpoint and potentially complete the full sweep.
Yeah, Finland hoping to take the breakpoint. Turkey trying to stem the bleeding here, at least get something on the board, hope, and, this could, be another case where, you get the point and then all of a sudden, the momentum, switches into your favor. That's exactly what happened, against in their match versus Argentina last week. So, Turkey, not necessarily, uncomfortable grounds here, as, we do see some early breaks coming on from House, Kalanlu, Nemku, and Orkai as well. Spray went down as well. So again, 2 FCs versus 1, Sevilju versus Ievi and Shinkiro. But you can see, Finland team looking a lot less comfortable on, this map compared to, the rest of the maps that we've seen, so far in this matchup.
Yeah, they are definitely a lot less comfortable on this. Pretty much everybody finding breaks, aside from 3 in the lobby, Sevilju, Ievi, and Shinkiro. But there's only so much time in the map left. It is a very, very short map. We're up to a 260,000 score lead for Turkey. It is falling because of the extra breaks coming through for Turkey. Shinkiro, Ievi now down also. The FC's gone, and wait a second, is their time? It's coming back pretty quickly.
House breaks though
for Finland, and I think that's going to be enough to keep it on the side of Turkey. Just barely, 62k in their favor. Full combo for Sevilju, but not enough support to bring it back. You can see there 500k for Spray, 670k for Shinkiro, 740k almost for Ievi. All 3 of those players higher in score than anyone on Finland except the FC from Sevilju. So very well done, bringing up the support, and even Orke matching the bottom score from Kalanlu there on both sides. So it's just coming down to the middle supporting scores between these two teams, and Turkey having the better middle players on their roster ends up making the difference.
Yeah, for sure. I think if House was able to hold at the ending there was a possibility, that it does go, in Finland's favor, but ultimately, House did break at the end, and, Turkey, they're able to get the point on their Hard Rock 3, they're able to stop the bleeding, hopefully stop the Finnish momentum in this matchup. That being said, Finland still have DT3 in this pool.
Yeah.
270 BPM speed. That's still open.
Yeah, they still have the DT3. They still have quite a lot of other things. DT1 potentially can be okay for them as well, right? Generally, the team that is better on speed is going to be better on that as well. So there's a possibility that they just go for DT3, DT1 here and call it a day. There is also the DT4 in this pool. It's 218 BPM. It's not the same as in previous weeks where, DT3, the gimmick DT, was 130 BPM in round of 16, 190 BPM in round of 32, right? So you have 3 more high BPM picks if you are Finland right now in this DT pool to try and close this out and not give any major advantage to Turkey. And they are going to just go with the DT3, AR 10.3, 270 BPM speed. It's only 2 minutes and 23 seconds, but that can be a brutal amount of time on 270 BPM. Let's see how this goes for Turkey, because if this is another major loss, the DT1 is still open, the DT4 is still open after this. And Finland have not looked beatable on speed for Turkey in particular this match so far. Been some pretty solid score leads for them within this match.
Yeah. I think, if Finland, win this DT3 and, Turkey are able to get another point on the board, DT1, I don't particularly recall, having that many tapping elements. I think it pretty much is, just a pure aim map, respectively speaking, but, it could still be an option, if Turkey just, aren't, as comfortable with, the mechanics of, just DT in general.
And it certainly seemed like that, right? Throughout this match so far, at least.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe it's just a tapping diff. Maybe it is just, a DT diff in general. Can't be certain on it just yet. This is probably going to be the biggest, indicator of whether, Turkey, can like at least somewhat contest like just the aim mechanics, because this map isn't like just a pure speed test. Like we kind of had that in DT2 with just all tapping, no aim pretty much. This one's got a mix of like both.
All right, let's get the players in the slots and get underway, shall we?
I'd say we do that.
Yeah. All right,
Mayuri, Evert, Yuska,
yeah, we're
House.
just in sync.
Yeah. We share the same brain cell, or what?
Yeah, exactly. List out the rosters. All right, you got Finland already. Ievi, Orke, Dragon Saga, and Lieri in for Turkey. Let's see how this goes. They are going into another speed map, which they have been down on speed all match long. Can they turn it around here and start up a true comeback? Or are there going to be some options open for Finland to close this out?
You can already see, the number of bursts you have in this, lots of like triples, lots of twins. Yuska finding the first drop for Team Finland. Crucially though, Finland's still having the score lead because Dragon Saga's down at, 93%. But the FCs for Turkey still holding on. House finds a bit of an undertap on one of those longer, I think, 7-node bursts, so drops the FC for Finland as well. 2 FCs versus 4, and... oh, make that 2 FCs versus 1 as Orkai, Dragon Saga, and Lieri all drop on, I think, pretty much the same Buzz Slider. So advantage for Turkey all of a sudden nullified. Halfway through this map, there goes Dragon Saga, Orkai, and Mayuri on that jump section. So again, kind of a 1v1 on FCs between Evert and Ievi, but Ievi goes down, and now Finland are just completely unmatched. Evert with the FC, Yuska with the recovery combo. The FC from Evert goes down, but with Yuska unmatched, the score lead is just going to go so heavily in favor of Team Finland.
Yeah, but it's all on Yuska. If he misses at all going into the ending here, there's actually better recovery combo on Turkey. The score lead is not that big. It's under 100k still. It's going up, but more misses from Mayuri. Ievi will trade that miss out. But you look at the rest of the supporting combo, Evert on 150, House on 200. There's nearly 400 combo on Dragon Saga. There's 250 on both Orke and Lieri right now. So there's potential, maybe, but I think the window of opportunity is pretty rapidly closing as Yuska continues to hold on to combo. One of those supporting combos goes down for Turkey as well on Lieri, and now I think you're safe for Finland. Yuska has held on long enough and brought it home for a third speed pick and a third point on speed for Finland in this match. 5-1.
5-1 indeed. The reverse choke from Yuska there to get an 881,000 score on this. But crucially, that the difference was pretty much just Yuska getting that reverse choke. The rest of the scores in this lobby are dead even, arguably, actually better for the side of Team Turkey. I think. So the difference really was just, Yuska getting the 880k. So Turkey, kind of getting a little bit tripped up by, the 270, but I think with, the fact that, this pick was a lot less stamina intensive compared to, Nomad 5 and DT2, gave them a little bit more of a competitive, footing in this, and you kind of saw, like, Turkey didn't really struggle that much on the aim in DT3. So DT1, I feel like, at least for me, as an observer of this, doesn't feel like that safe of a pick for Finland. That being said, it is Turkey's pick. You've won the Hard Rock 3, Hard Rock Tech. You still have Nomad 4 as an option. You also still have the aim maps. You have Nomad 1, Hidden 1 to an extent, but they are going to go for the Nomad 4. I think this is one of their best picks that they could have gone for, Dio.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Nomad 4 is solid for them just because of the Hard Rock 3. It's the only point you've won so far. It's the most similar map in the pool to the Hard Rock 3. Just go for it, right? You're already down 5-1. You may as well pick the thing that is best in the situation. There's no Hard Rock left. After this, you can start to think about aim maps, but every pick has to work anyway. So just pick whatever seems most comfortable, and if that is this Nomad 4 after the Hard Rock 3 earlier on, then so be it. Let's see if they can keep this going, right? They did start up the comeback a little bit. Turkey is down match point here, so every map from now on is with the threat of elimination from Finland's side. And if they can just hold on and bring it to tiebreaker, they will eventually get one match point of their own, but they have to win 5 maps in a row, not only their own next 2 picks, but also Finland's next 2 picks, which we'll see when we get there, right? One map at a time. For now, it's the Nomad 4.
One map at a time, indeed, but this is hopefully... This pick hopefully will get them a second point on the board, you know. And I guess the good thing for, you know, Turkey, you know, if you win this, you know, less speed open in the pool. There's still some, you know, there's still some rough patches, but there shouldn't, you know, in theory, shouldn't be anything that's, you know, too incredibly one-sided. But like you said, Dio, one map at a time, no mod 4. If Turkey can get this, you know, they give themselves another point, and, you know, hopefully, you know, build that foundation for yet another comeback. So Spray is like locked in or what?
Yeah. I don't know exactly what's going with. There we go. Finally, the score goes down a little bit.
Alright, here we go. Nomad 4, the 6px tech map. Who breaks on the Sliderator slider? The answer is nobody but Evert and Nemq.
Oh, no!
Dropping immediately after misaiming the slider tick.
Yeah, it is a traded miss from Lieri, but that's 1-2 in the miss count. 3-1, or 3-2, excuse me, in the FC count. But there goes Spray, so now 2-2 in FCs. Supporting combo better for Finland with the timing of the misses. Another miss comes through for Lieri as well. It's Savilju and Kalanlu on the FCs versus Shinkiro and Orke for Turkey. Evert and Nemq just better supporting combo, so it is coming back Finland's way. But there goes Kalanlu and Evert, an FC and a supporting combo down. Now just Savilju with one FC for Finland here. Shinkiro and Orke holding on to 2 still for Turkey, even with Lieri finding more than a few drops. It's still going to be matching Evert, and Spray going to be matching Kalanlu on the support there, so it's just a bunch of extra score on that double FC. How long can they hold on to that combo advantage, though? And how long can Savilju potentially keep his own full combo to try to bring it back a little later on? Because it's already 3/4 of the way into the map. It's only a 100,000 score lead for Turkey, though. There is just not that much score lead being built up by Turkey at the moment, even with the double FC. And there goes Orke. Now there's a massive recovery combo on Nemq, bringing this back pretty much instantly. There goes Nemq, though. It's Savilju versus Shinkiro, and the supporting combos are pretty much even.
But there's Spray, though. Oh, it's a tragedy for Team Turkey at the end here. Spray, Lieri go down. Kalanlu holds that supporting combo for Savilju, and Finland steal this pick away at the dying breath of this map. Savilju gets the full combo to match Shinkiro, but at the end of the day, that support from Kalanlu able to clutch it up for Team Finland. They're not going to give Turkey an opportunity to get the comeback in this matchup. They will eliminate Team Turkey from 4-Digit World Cup 2025 and move on to the next round of the losers bracket.
Yeah, very well done from Finland there. It's just the overall team consistency. The high scores, you know, matching FC, but still a little lower on accuracy. And the middle scores pretty competitive. with the middle scores for Turkey there on that map, and just the team consistency working out very well for them on that Nomad 4, keeping them ahead by just a little bit right at the end of the map. So very, very well done from them there. And again, I mean, Finland throughout this entire match, it's kind of been the same story, right? You have a team that has a lot of people performing about the same, and then one person performing better than the other team, and that's been how they won most of these maps throughout the match, aside from that DT2, or sorry, Nomad 5, where they were just 600k up. That was the entire team outperforming Turkey. So quite a solid match from them. 6-1. They will move on to losers bracket round 3, and the second round of losers bracket this weekend to face off against the winner of China versus Saudi Arabia. That match Saturday 14 UTC. Meanwhile, Turkey are eliminated from the 4-digit World Cup this year in 2025. They are out of the tournament. We will not be seeing any more of them. It's a good run from Turkey. They make it into the top 24. They win one match in the losers bracket round 1 versus Argentina, but are not going to be able to go any farther. So commiserations to Turkey, congratulations to Finland, and good luck to them versus the winner of China and Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, good luck to them. But this is only the start of the quarterfinals weekend, Dio. Tomorrow we have, 2 matches. I think we have streamers covered for them. If we do, we will be seeing matches tomorrow at 12 UTC, Australia versus Philippines in the losers bracket, and then also tomorrow at 14 UTC, Indonesia versus Thailand, also in the losers bracket as well. But if you guys are enjoying this content and you want to support, this tournament's prize pool, and want to keep the lights on for future future iterations of 4-digit World Cup, you can go to the Open Collective link in chat to get a supporter banner for your favorite country and help keep this tournament running.
Yeah, and that is going to be it for us for now. Thank you very much to Rob for the stream, to Isita for the ref, to Speakun for casting alongside me. We'll see you all back here on Friday at 12 UTC for the next, Friday 12 UTC and Friday 14 UTC for the next couple of matches here in 4-digit World Cup. See you then.
Goodbye.